All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, considering the career of Hulk Hogan. Now, this is going to be Hulk Hogan when he joins the NWO in 1996. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get in. We got a lot to cover here,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
Now, we all know that at this point in wrestling, the product is pretty much stagnant on both ends.
Hmm.
1995 was a bad year for both organizations. Nitro was trying, WCW was trying to redevelop themselves to compete with Vince and Monday Night Raw. They created Nitro. They started their slogan "Where the Big Boys Play," which I got tired of hearing. WWE was also trying to recreate themselves as well. So 1996 was kind of a rebuilding year. Uh, Hulk Hogan at this point, coming off the feud with Vader, people are now starting to he's stagnant with the as a wrestler and as the champion because
He's
now the
starting at the
fans are,
booze.
yeah, and they're not drawing well at this point. I mean, they're beating Raw in the ratings, but it's not by much. I mean, the whole pasta mania thing, it
Yeah,
was really starting
because
to get bad, and WCW had to reinvent something.
yeah, because that whole Dungeon of Doom thing that they did. I mean, it's really campy. It's fun. It's fun and silly to look back and watch now, but it was like very cartoony, and they were basically trying to. They were
When you
trying
have a
to do.
2-on-8 and your tag team wins, there's something wrong.
Yeah, and Hogan was basically just working with people he felt comfortable with, like Earthquake, the Shark,
Yeah,
the
Big Bubba Rogers.
the Butcher, like all
Yeah,
those people that he things that he was comfortable with. I understood why they did it at the time, but it was really it was kind of corny. But I will say this: I think I mentioned this in the last episode. This got people tuning into WCW, and Hogan getting there legitimized WCW,
oh yeah,
even though it was very rough, but it at least got people watching.
yeah. I mean, you and I, we both channel surfers
Hmm.
going back and forth to see what's going on, especially when Nitro started, when Luger made the surprise entrance. Now you're like, okay, who's going to show up this
Hmm.
week? Who's going to do what? I mean, it was interesting to that aspect, but again, the product as far as the wrestling was a little dull. Now, a little twist into 1996 that Bischoff was able to apprehend was two names by the name of Scott Hall and Kevin
Hmm.
Nash coming out of their contracts from Vince McMahon, who at the time was not doing guarantee contracts, and they both left for more money. Which, I mean, it sucks because we were WWE fans. As they even said in interviews, they were looking out for their family and stuff, and we all remember the famous curtain call right before they left. And once Scott Hall showed up, the WCW took a page out of New Japan's book because New Japan had done this as well with the NWO, and so Bischoff
Well,
decided
I
to.
forgot what they were called in New Japan,
Yeah,
but
it wasn't the NWO; it was
yeah,
something
yeah,
else,
yeah,
but it was almost the same aspect.
yeah, similar storyline.
And so Bischoff decided to not give them wrestling names, but use their real names,
Hmm.
and kind of like it's an invasion from WWE because you
Hmm.
remember Scott Hall goes, "You know who I am, but you
Yep.
don't know why I'm here."
Yeah.
And so this went on for several weeks. He kept saying he's got a big guy, and sure enough, here came Kevin Nash, and they weren't big boys weren't there to play, and it was kind of cool because now you're really turning into WCW to see what exactly Hall and Nash are going to do,
Hmm.
and so they. I remember it was Great American Bash, I believe it was, where they came out and Bischoff asked them, "Do you work for the
Yeah,
WWF?"
yeah,
And they
yeah. I
said
remember that.
no,
Yeah,
and they powerbombed. It was funny,
that was great
but
stuff. Yeah.
now they were looking into. They said they had a third guy,
Yep.
and so we do the hostile takeover match at Bash at the Beach. WCW's got their three guys. They got Sting, Savage, and Luger, pretty decent team. And so now you don't know who Hall and Nash have. And I remember, we've seen the documentaries and we've talked about this in the NWO episode how Hogan was iffy on wanting to
Yep.
do the character because if he did it and it didn't work, then it was pretty much it was career suicide. It was pretty much over for him.
Yeah, and but he needed to turn heel because he was
Mhm.
getting booed, and even Sullivan said it himself. Sullivan said it like he started to notice it, and he's like, I got to turn this guy heel. He said he probably should have done it earlier.
Yeah,
You know.
because with the crowd change and the demographic, everything was changing in the mid to late '90s
Hmm.
as far as how they perceived the wrestlers. The cartoonish characters weren't getting over anymore, and so it was either if didn't redevelop himself, it was pretty much he was done. So as he's still debating whether or not to do this. It's coming up on the match, and they're getting nervous, and so now they're thinking, okay, we'll have Sting do it.
Sting do it. They had and they had Sting on the sidelines.
Mhm.
They had him on standby, from what I understand, even to the very day of it.
Oh yeah, because
Hogan
didn't come to the agreement until last minute.
Right. They were well, yeah, he got it kind of last minute, but they also still had in the back of their mind that he might change his mind. Apparently, he stayed over Kevin Sullivan's house. I think I remember hearing Sullivan tell the story how he was basically in charge of Hogan, like to make sure that he would turn, he would do it.
So yeah, because this was a big thing for them.
Yeah, well, he was also worried about merchandising because Hogan, was selling a lot of T-shirts with Hulkamania. Yeah. Hadn't been a heel since the early '80s.
Yeah,
so it was a big move, and it was a big gamble. But he also saw where it was going, and he wanted to jump on the gravy train.
Oh yeah, but he saw the dollar signs this could possibly create, and how could he not do it? And also, in my mind, if they went the other way, it wouldn't have worked with Sting because Sting wasn't a WWE guy.
Yes,
this was all like
it had to
Vince
be
McMahon guys. It had to be a Vince guy.
I remember reading this. I'm not sure if it's 100% true that there were even talks of Bret Hart being the third guy, because Bret Hart.
Because he was a free agent at the time.
He was a free agent at the time, and supposedly Scott Hall called him and asked him, and then Bret just didn't want to go.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that, and Bret wasn't. He was contemplating retirement. He didn't want to go to another organization, and then he wound up, working out a deal with Vince. Right. But yeah, I did remember hearing that it could be.
It could have been
Bret Hart.
There was also another. Rumor.
I don't even think that would have worked either.
Did you? No, I don't think it would have. Hogan was perfect, and we'll get into all that in a little while. Did you ever hear that urban legend that it was supposed to be Mabel? Mabel was supposed to be the third guy.
Oh my God, no.
That's what I heard. And Bischoff
that really would have flopped.
Bischoff, could you imagine? God,
yeah. Here comes Big Mabel, and I can see Larry Zbyszko going, "Who the hell is that?"
Bischoff said it's not true. So
thank God. Yeah, I don't believe it. Did this come from Mabel himself? Did he give an interview?
I don't know.
It's relevant.
It's an urban legend though that Mabel was.
Oh Lord,
no.
I know. Of all the people know.
So, get into the Bash at the Beach match.
Yeah, we it starts out as a handicap match because obviously the third guy's not there.
Mm-hmm.
People started, and even I did, when all of a sudden the beginning of the match and Lex Luger goes out with an injury, apparent injury, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, is he going to come back later? Is he the third guy? Because even I think Heenan said, he said something, and Shivani said, no, that's impossible. Don't say that. These are our true WCW guys. And so the match is going on for about 20 minutes. It was a decent match as a handicap match. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, because Hogan was away for a while, here comes Hulk Hogan. What was it, about 2 months? 2-3 months?
It was a couple. It was at least a couple months.
It was at least during the entire time that Hall and Nash were doing this.
Yeah.
Because you never saw Hogan on Nitro with us. And so he comes out, and the crowd's going nuts. Dusty's
going crazy, yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see the scared look on Hall and Nash's face. Hogan gets in the ring. Savage is down, and he pushes the referee and drops the leg. And I love the famous line from Bobby Heenan. Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. It was just, oh my God! My jaw dropped on this.
But how about Bobby Heenan almost giving it away by saying, "But whose side is he on?" when he was first walking down the ramp?
Yeah,
he screwed up. He shouldn't have said that.
Exactly.
Because
now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bobby's one of the greatest, but he did screw up. Does Bobby Heenan say, "I said I knew it," or something like that, right? Or at some point, I don't know if it's during the pay-per-view.
I knew it was Hulk Hogan
because he didn't trust him. Yeah, he was vindicated. He was right about him all those years.
Yeah, Heenan's now a fan favorite announcer, and Hogan turned heel, so now they just flip flopped.
Great
stuff.
And
Heenan's still against Hogan.
Yeah, but he leg dropped Macho Man. Everyone was stunned. Yeah, they start throwing garbage in the ring.
Oh my God! I mean, how about what was it? Nash got hit with the soda.
Yeah,
and it was just the people like, oh, and all of a sudden now the match is over. Here comes Mean Gene into the ring, and Hogan, the first thing you could tell all these fans to stick it.
Stick it, brother.
And I love when he says, you can call this the new world order of professional wrestling. Yep. And I'm like, oh shit, we're off and running now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was one of the biggest shockers of the year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is, in terms of wrestling, this is one of the biggest moments in wrestling history. Probably Hogan turning heel,
mm-hmm.
the third man. in the NWO. I didn't actually see this live. It was the next day. My friend Peter told me right before I guess I saw Nitro. He told me he's like, yeah, Hogan turned on these guys. He's the third man. I was like, what?
Yeah,
No.
I couldn't. I turned on Nitro and I was like,
Yeah.
why is he coming? Because I didn't get the paper. I
Mhm.
mean, I wanted to, but for whatever reason, I didn't have the money for it. It was like 20, $30,
Yeah,
but
you
it was
probably just saw like King of the Ring or something like that before that. Yeah.
actually, yeah, I did, which I regret.
But you know what's interesting too? That King of the Ring '96, Austin 316 is born, and
Exactly.
then Bash at the Beach, Hollywood Hulk Hogan is born.
It was a good month for
Yeah.
wrestling. Like I said, both of them struggled through '95, but they were picking the product up as '96 went
Hmm.
forward. I mean, WWE, they brought in Vader, they brought back Jake, they had Warriors return, Austin was
Hmm.
born, Brett's return. I mean, they had a lot of going on
Yep.
themselves, but nothing as big as this.
Yeah.
I mean, this was huge.
No, big time.
So, and then as far with Hogan, eventually now he's okay. Step one was I joined you guys. Step two, I want my belt back. So now he's going to eventually go for the title, which the Giant has. And I love those vignettes they did with Hogan in the black and white. And Bischoff is in there, and you never saw anything like this before. This was
Hmm.
something new that Bischoff created, which I really liked. And Hogan's birthday's coming up, and they're asking, "What do you want for your birthday?" He's like, "I want the title. I want Giants World Title."
Oh, before that,
And he
he
said,
doesn't show up. He doesn't show up on Nitro the next night, but I think he shows up like 2 weeks later
hmm?
or something like that. I remember, and then he gets to the ring and cuts the promo. That was when it was at MGM when they were filming at MGM Studios outside. I remember
"Oh yeah,
that was cool.
yeah." It was, yeah, that was a big moment. Then on the July, I believe it was 15th edition of Nitro, Hogan returned. He helped Hall and Nash attack Lex Luger, Big Bubba Rogers
Yep,
during a Nitro main event.
beat down.
He then made the challenge to regain the title
Yep.
from the Giant at Hog Wild in August. Which again, step one, you got your boys.
Hmm.
Step two is now he has to be the top guy in the company if you want this organization to go forward. At Hog Wild, the newly christened Hollywood Hogan now, which
Yep.
I actually liked it. I
I
thought
did
when
too. I did too.
especially when he had the black beard
Yeah,
with
that's right. He
the
put in the black beard. Yeah.
I thought it was cool. He again re-gimmicking himself. Hogan was a pretty good bad guy. I
No, he
mean,
was
he
great.
pulled it
And
off.
he pulled it off. And I mean, I didn't know if he could, honestly, at the time. I wasn't sure because I never really saw Hogan
No,
as
we always saw him as the say your prayers, eat your vitamins,
well,
Hulkamaniacs, WWE guy that that wasn't heel. And then over here, all of a sudden, now you see it and you're like, whoa, this is pretty good stuff. And so the night he beats the Giant, he rechristens the belt with the
yep,
NWO logo. He spray painted it, and he also attacked, what was it,
Booty
the Booty
Man,
Man. He
aka
tried to give him
Brutus Beefcake.
uh,
Yeah,
AKA Re-Gimmick Mania.
yeah,
Is that Lord?
Zodiac. Yeah,
Ugh. He tried to give Hogan a birthday cake. You think that Beefcake would be the one guy that Hogan would put in
nope.
there, and he put him to the curb,
Still
man.
got it beaten.
Oh yeah. And then 5 days after Hog Wild, Hogan defended the title against Ric Flair at Clash
Yep,
of the Champions.
right away, right out of the gate, he's already defending the belt.
Well, that's good considering it was like half the pay-per-views in 1997. He was barely even on it.
He was on it, and
So,
he didn't wrestle on nitros and stuff like that hardly ever. It was in his
so,
contract though. He only had to appear a certain amount of dates.
so real quick for anybody right now that's watching the product now that's pissed that Roman Reigns isn't fighting as much. Hello, they did this back then too, and everybody was fine with it. Just saying.
Well,
Anyway,
Roman Reigns is no Hulk Hogan, but
no, definitely not.
but I digress.
Yeah. The Outsiders interfered as well as the Horsemen, which I thought was definitely a good rivalry right there.
This is the pattern going forward.
Yeah.
In these at the end of these matches.
35 guys coming,
Yep.
and Sting comes down. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Did Nitro ever, from 96 to 2000, ever have a main event that actually ended it?
I don't. I'm sure it happened, but I just don't.
count.
I seem to remember just a lot of DQs and
No contest.
Yeah, I remember a lot of
And anyway, Sting and Luger had came out to help Flair as well because feuds aside, this was like WCW versus NWO. So now as Fall Fall Brawl pay-per-view event had neared, WCW was gearing up for another battle with the NWO. And on September 9th, the NWO, they tricked the fans and wrestlers into thinking that Sting had joined them. And I remember watching this one because I was like, "Oh, don't tell me that this is gonna happen." And the funny thing is, it's like Luger and all of them started believing this.
Yeah.
And Sting's like, I didn't turn.
Yeah, I remember all this.
And I think they had their NWO Sting that would come out, and people would actually believe that this was him. And then, for a while you had the fake clone, which was what was his name? Jeff Farmer.
Yeah.
Well, former wrestler or something.
NWO Sting. NWO Sting. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't bad.
No, it was actually pretty funny. It was a good gimmick. Yeah.
So, in any event, Team WCW was, like I had said, with Sting. They were being interviewed. Sting told his teammates that he had nothing to do with the attack, but Luger didn't believe him. Going into the match, only 3 wrestlers on each side had been officially named. It was Hogan and the Outsiders for NWO, with Luger, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair for Team WCW. Sting had originally been named as the 4th man, but his participation was in doubt. Again, they didn't know if he sold out or whatnot. Sting, who convinced everybody, including the broadcast team, that the real Sting was NWO. Sting showed up moments later, like I said, the last man for Team WCW, took apart the NWO by himself, and after assaulting Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and the NWO Sting left the ring, and Team WCW yelling at Luger, "Now do you believe me?"
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a good. I don't know if Bischoff saw the future and said, "I'm going to build a huge Hogan Sting match, and I got to start this now for a year later." I don't think. I think it fell into his lap.
Yeah, I don't know how far ahead they planned that. Yeah.
I don't know how long originally this was supposed to go. If he was really, again, nobody knows if he really had an injury that kept him out a year, or if this is something that Bischoff said, "Hey, I need you to be on hiatus during this right now. We're going to try to build this up." Nobody has officially.
Well, I mean, I don't think there was any injury because he was there. He was on Nitro. He was beating the NWO up. He just wasn't wrestling in matches. So I don't think there was an injury.
So it's possible they just kept him on hiatus to build this up.
They were figuring out initially. Yeah, how long figuring out exactly what they wanted to do with it with him.
Yeah, and again, we've said the buildup was great. The execution was crap.
Yeah.
So now Team WCW now fighting a 4-on-3 handicap match. What else is new? Lost when the NWO Sting locked Luger in the Scorpion Deathlock. I thought that was funny. I'm like, oh damn! Now the fake dude, and he did pretty well. But the fake dude's getting the win. Yeah. At Halloween Havoc now, Hogan then went to face the Macho Man Randy Savage, putting the title on the line. The main event saw Hogan defeating Savage to retain the WCW title. The Giant choke slammed Savage to the floor. One of the first few times that he's in the NWO now. Jesus, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. It's ridiculous. Remember when we did the NWO episode? I said get your dry erase boards out here. During the match was also funny because you remember Miss Elizabeth had come down.
Yeah, I think she was in a neutral corner, right? Was she in a neutral corner?
Yeah, she didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And then Roddy Piper came out following the match to confront Hogan and make his WCW debut, which I thought it took away from the pay-per-view. I remember we did this. We did the review on this pay-per-view. It took away from the match. That really needed to be done on Nitro, in my opinion. I don't think his debut of coming out and challenging him at the pay-per-view should have been done.
Yeah, it should have been the night after, but for whatever reason, I don't know.
Bischoff decided, okay, come out here, and
it wasn't a good.
It was funny because when on Piper's one of his initial interviews when he first arrived there, he said the place I came from said they have no one hip people there, and he goes, "You're right, there is no one hip there," as they were referring to his injury because Vince wouldn't medically clear him after WrestleMania 12 going forward because his age and his injury. So that's why he made the comment. So I thought that was funny on Rowdy's part because he never really said anything bad about Vince until then. In any event, Hogan and Piper signed a contract at World War III to face each other at Starrcade, which I thought was a pretty decent match. We've seen them before, and it was good to see that now what WCW would do with the Hogan Piper match, considering Piper wasn't. Remember, he said, "I'll lay down. I don't lay down for anybody."
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this when Hogan feuded with him years earlier. So Hogan and Piper signed the contract at World War III to face each other at Starrcade. The NWO gave Piper a beatdown, revealing the scar he had from the hip surgery.
Yeah, I didn't like that. They made Piper reveal the scar. Piper he would have never sold that injury, and never would have sold that he had the hip surgery like that. I don't understand why I thought that messed up his character, made his character look weak. I didn't like that.
Yeah, because he was always tough. Even if he had an injury, he wouldn't sell it.
Yeah.
He would still fight through it. So
I didn't care for that.
I mean, they did a lot of things. I mean, they made, even like I said, I've said this before. They made Ric Flair look weak. They made Savage look weak. I mean, every week after week after week after week, it's a constant beatdown, spray painting. I mean, how many times can you do this consecutively before it's like it's the same old thing? Are these guys ever going to fight back? And they were making them out like they were nothing. Not to mention the fact, real quick, you remember the incident where you had like 30 WCW guys in the ring, and they're being held back by Hall and Nash with 2 baseball bats. I mean, how bad is that? I mean, it's just they made them look weak, and the NWO looked dominant. But yeah, I'm with you. I didn't agree like what they did here with Piper doing that. But he faced him at Starrcade, and Piper won via the sleeper hold, but apparently it was a non-title match.
Right. When
everybody was led to believe that it was for the title.
Right. We all assumed that it was, but apparently it wasn't. But they never said it was for it, or they never said it wasn't until after the fact.
Exactly.
If I remember, yeah. It's kind of stupid. But
and then the next night on Nitro, Hogan and Bischoff pretended like nothing happened.
Yeah, like it never happened.
Yeah, I didn't lose to this guy, so it's whatever.
All right, so that's basically 1996, or most of it. The next episode, we're gonna get into like leading into 97, and we're gonna just go forward because there's a lot of stuff to cover. It's gonna take some time. So
there really is with this.
Yeah, so bear with us. So
bear with us, man. This is good. This is gonna be an encyclopedia of Hogan volumes, man.
Yeah. So make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.